This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you so much, and I'll hand it over to you, Corinna. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I am Corinna. I own the Charcuterie Queen. I just started the Charcuterie Queen in June, this past June of 2020. I've been making boards for a long time now, about 3, 4 years, not selling them, just honestly making them for friends and family. And then when the pandemic hit, I just was really looking for a creative outlook to just do something. And I was making boards, and my friends were like, "You gotta sell them. You gotta sell them." I'm like, no one's gonna buy them, especially during a pandemic. So now here we are. I was like, you know what? Let me just try it, see what happens, and it snowballed into what it is today. And I'm so grateful. And this is so exciting to be here. This is my first class I've ever taught, so I'm really excited. But yeah, so I have my board right here. This is going to be a perfect size for like 4 people, 2 to 4 people. 2 people definitely will this will feed as a meal. 4 people, this will fill you as an appetizer with like a little light dinner after or lunch, whatever you were doing. I'm going to be using 3 different cheeses. I'm going to show you them in a second. But I have this kind of set up here. I use the 2 ramekins or the 2 bowls. I'm going to be putting probably honey in one and olives in another. I kind of just go and see how I feel while making it. So I'm going to bring over the 3 cheeses that I'm going to use. I'm going to put the board on the side. Cutting board. I'm going to wear gloves just because it's just a habit of mine and it's just something that I do. You don't have to wear gloves if you're making this for you or your friends or family. It's just a habit from making them. So I'm going to be starting off first with a triple cream brie. And you'll see in the store, you'll see either triple cream or double cream. The difference between them is the fat content. The triple cream has a little bit more fat. It's a little bit creamier, a little bit just gooier, if that makes sense. I love a triple cream brie. And then the double cream is just as good, but it's a little bit more denser, if that makes sense. So with this, I actually like to leave the cheese how it is. So this is a really good kind of like easy cheese to put on the plate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little triangle in it. That way people kind of know when you're serving it to take it out just like that. But the thing that I have realized from making them for friends and family is if you put like a whole piece of cheese on the board, people kind of get intimidated and they don't want to cut into it. So I'm going to show you ways that you can place things. That way people know how to take things. It's so much different when the cheese is all cut. People will go and take it. You'll realize if you put out a charcuterie board, cheese and charcuterie board, and you just put a whole chunk of cheese on it, by the end of the night, that cheese is still probably going to be there because people are intimidated to kind of go and cut it. So with this specific cheese, you can cut it all around. I'm going to show you how I personally cut it and we'll put it on the board. I'll just take a regular knife just like this. Move this up a little bit. And what I'll do is cut a little triangle in it, just like that. And then I also, another tip is I like to cut all of my cheeses as soon as they come out of the refrigerator. So I just took these out about 10, 15 minutes ago. It's so much easier to cut cheese when it's cold rather than when it's warm. Um, if you have like this, for instance, it's super creamy. So if you left this out for like an hour before you cut it, it's going to be really hard and really gooey when you cut it, and it's just going to be a mess. So with creamier cheeses like this, I definitely recommend cutting it as soon as it comes out of the refrigerator. Other than that, most cheeses are okay. So I'm going to put this one to the side. You know what? I'm going to make another cut just so my guests know they can take it. So you just put it like that, and then I'll plate everything after. I'm going to cut all the cheeses first, and then we're going to plate them together. So I'm going to put this off to the side. And then the next cheese I'm going to use is just like a crowd pleaser. I'm using an aged cheddar, and I love this aged cheddar. This one is from Trader Joe's. It's the unexpected cheddar. It's one of my favorite cheeses. I mostly put cheddar on everybody's board because I feel like it's a very universal cheese. Everybody likes cheddar for the most part from what I see, and it just pairs well with so many different things, and it's a crowd pleaser. Everyone's gonna like it, and it just goes with everything. So what I'm gonna do is take the same knife, that's okay, and I'm just going to cut it just like so. And it is crumbly, that's okay. When we place it on the board, it's gonna be fine. I'm also gonna cut it in half as well, but I'll show you. So I'm gonna cut a few pieces of the cheddar. This is another cheese I like to cut when it's cold. It's okay if it breaks a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna put that off to the side. I'm gonna cut it right before we plate it, but for the most part, I really do love a what's called an aged cheddar. It's just such a very good cheese. So I'm gonna place this to the side, and like I said, it's okay if it breaks a little bit. And then the next cheese that we're gonna use is it's a very light cheese. It's Manchego. I already cut a slice, that way you guys can kind of see what it's gonna look like. I love Manchego. It's, like I said, another board that goes really well with everything. I chose these cheeses, and I'm gonna show you the two meats that I chose in a second, because these cheeses, majority everyone's gonna like. I've honestly never met someone that doesn't like brie or cheddar or Manchego. You're gonna want to get a little bit different with the choices that you pick. Like I said, the softer cheese is great for the brie, and then the two semi-firm cheeses is the cheddar and then the Manchego. They're all three great cheeses to put on a board. And if you wanted to add a fourth or fifth cheese, you could totally do that if you're feeding a little bit more people. So same thing. I'm just going to take the knife and just cut straight down, just like so. And you can cut a few. This one's a little bit harder to cut, that's why I'm putting a little bit more effort into it. And serving wise, I like to keep it at about, depending on how many people you're serving, what I usually like to do is 2 ounces of meat per person, and then 1 ounce of cheese per person. That's usually kind of like what everybody likes to eat. If you're feeding a bigger crowd, or your friends or family are a little bit like heavier eaters, obviously just put a little bit more on the plate and you'll be good to go. We're gonna cut one more piece. Perfect. So I'm gonna put this to the side. I'm gonna bring the board back over. So these 2 bowls I like to leave on the plate. I don't know what I'm gonna put in them yet. I'm definitely gonna put honey or jam in one of them, and I'm gonna put another accoutrement in one of them. But what I like to do is I like to put the bowls first, like the bigger things that you want to put in. So the bowls, I always leave them on the board first, because I know and I can see what space is going to be on the board, and I want these 2 in these places. That's why I'm going to leave them there. So I'm going to plate the brie first, and what I like to do is, another tip is, I always will leave the cut slices towards like the outer part of the board. That way people know to just grab it, just like so. It's a little bit easier, and that's just like a nice little tip to help with your when you're when you're entertaining. So we're gonna put the brie right on the side, just like that. And so, like I said, with these bowls, brie and honey pair really well together. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Is I'm gonna put the honey in this bowl. I'm gonna do it right now. Also, too, another tip is, sometimes honey will come in jars just like this. I personally, I'm a tea drinker. I love honey, so I won't put this on the board. I'm gonna put the honey on this in the bowl, because if people are dipping in the honey and with cheese and everything, especially with COVID, you probably don't want to do that, but you can put the honey in the bowl separately. That way people can dip from there, and then your honey that you put on other things isn't completely ruined. So I'm going to use this. I'm actually going to use, that's a eucalyptus honey. I'm actually just going to use a pure honey, and I'm just going to spoon it into the bowl. Honey is my personal favorite to pair with cheese. I feel like, I don't get me wrong, a fig jam is amazing, but honey and cheese is just like my favorite combo. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour that into the bowl. Okay. Just like so. So I'm going to leave that bowl there, because like I said, I know that the honey and the brie go really well together, so I'm going to leave that there. Next, we're going to plate the cheddar. And the cheddar, like I said, it was breaking a little bit before. That's okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take each piece and I'm going to cut it just in half, just like so. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it around here because I like to look at a board and create movement and create texture. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I want to make it look like the cheddar is moving around the bowl. So that is exactly what we're doing. You can take 2 slices at a time. That's fine if you want to cut them like that.
Corinna, can I interrupt you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, we've got 2 questions in the chat. Someone
Oh, yeah.
wants to know how far in advance can you prep a board?
I like to make a board about 1 hour to an hour and a half before people come over. Like I said, you want to cut the cheeses when they're super cold, but when you're serving it, you want to make sure that the cheese and everything is room temperature. So about an hour before friends and family are going to come over.
Thank you. And then another question, what kind of honey can be used?
Oh, I love honey. This honey that I have too is called a eucalyptus honey. You can use any honey. I'm personally using right now a 100% pure honey. I have lavender honey that I put on boards. I'm a big honey person, especially with cheese. So you really can get creative with the honey that you're using. I wanted to make this board kind of good for everybody, so that's why I just use a plain 100% pure honey.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. See what I mean? It kind of creates movement a little bit. I'll board it that way too, guys. Perfect. And then it is food, so don't be afraid to move things. Like nothing is permanent where it is. So don't be afraid to move things if you feel like you want to move it or you don't. I know I'm probably going to move things once I'm like halfway there. Usually that's what I do. So the next cheese that we're going to plate is the manchego. And you honestly can do a few different things with the manchego. A lot of people like to place it on the plate like this. It's just folding it one by one and kind of make sure you can see. So what you would do is just take it this way and then flip it the other way, and then that way. That's a very like simple but really pretty way to do it. I like to kind of fan it out and make it a little bit more movement, a little bit more texture on the board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and just plate it right on top of each other. So you can put that there, and because we cut a few pieces, so I'm going to put that over there, and then I'm going to put more right here. Perfect. And you could, like I just did, you can divide the cheese up. If you feel like it's a little bit too much on one side, you can always put the cheese on the other side. So that's all the cheeses, and that's where they're probably going to stay. I'm going to move on to the meats now. Personally, my 2 favorite meats to put on any board are salami and prosciutto. And I'm going to show you how to do a little salami river, which is really fun, and everyone can definitely do this. So you can do this with any size salami. I personally have the kind of like the smaller rounded salami. So what you're going to do is you're going to take it and fold it in half, just like so. So it's like a half moon. And then you're going to take it and fold it in half again. That way it kind of looks like a triangle, just like that. Then you're going to take another piece and then do the exact same thing. So you fold it in half and then you fold it in half again. That way you get a triangle. So what you can do is you can put them together so it looks like a little river. And I'm going to plate them right in between the cheddar and the manchego. And we're going to make a little river that goes down to the brie. So you're going to use a good amount of salami. I like to, especially when I'm hosting, I'll get just like 1 pack of salami. And I'll do it with this. But it's easy too for people to grab as well. So we'll do it again. Fold the salami right in half and then fold it in a triangle again. And then you could place it. Sometimes it's a little stubborn and doesn't want to stay, but that's okay. I'm gonna grab another piece. Another piece just like so. And like I said, it's a little stubborn sometimes. It's okay if it falls because we're going to fill it all in with salami, and then we're going to go in with all the other accoutrements, and then it'll be perfectly fine. Fold it in half. See what I mean? It gets a little messy, but that's okay. And then because this is in the middle, like this salami pairs well with all different types of cheeses, so especially the ones that are on the board. So when people grab a piece of cheese, it's an easy pick to grab a piece of salami. So that way, and also when you're doing it like this, like I said before, it's just an easy thing to just pick up and plate. Go. I'm going to fix it right over there, and then we'll move on to the prosciutto. Perfect. Then because that one's a little stubborn in there, we're just going to fill it in just like so. And then once we put in all the others, we'll be good to go. So that's what it looks like right now. I'm going to fix this right here. And like I said, it's food, so don't be afraid to just go in and clean it up if you feel like it needs to be cleaned up a little bit. So next we're going to go in with prosciutto. That's one of my favorites. Honestly, everybody loves prosciutto. That's the first thing to go on all the boards. So prosciutto, when you get it, it's most likely in the wax paper. So I'm going to teach you guys how to make a ribbon and also how to take it off of the paper really easily. So this is obviously like the front of the prosciutto, but you never want to peel it off from the top. You always want to peel the paper off from the back. So what I'm going to do is just take it and peel it just like so. So now in order to make the ribbon, we're just going to take it and fold it over each other just like that. So it looks just like a ribbon, and we're going to plate it right here. And then get the next piece. See, this prosciutto is a little thin, but that's okay. Like I said, there you go. Flip it on the back, peel it off. And if it breaks, like as you can see, mine's ripping a little bit, you can kind of play around with it and just peel it off. And another tip is you definitely want to cut the prosciutto, fold the prosciutto and the salami, more so the meats that are thin like this, you want to plate them when they're cold, so right out of the refrigerator. So you want to fold it just like so, and then plate it. We're going to do probably like 2 more because we got a bunch of other things to put on the board. Do that. Plate it. Like I said, it broke a little bit. That's okay. So you want to take it and then fold it over each other just like that, so it makes a little ribbon. And then we'll do one more piece, and then we're going to move on to the fruit. Peel it from the back. Prosciutto can be a little stubborn sometimes. And just like that. Perfect. So there's your prosciutto all inside. I'll give you a better look. Then you can play around with it, spread it out a little bit more. So next I'm going to go in with grapes. Grapes I put on every single board no matter what. It's a crowd pleaser. It goes so well with all kinds of cheeses, all kinds of meats. No matter what, I'm always putting grapes on my board. So what I'm going to do, and you can put green grapes, red grapes, the super dark purple grapes. Those are really pretty. I love those. So what I always will do is I'll take, as you can see, like this is ginormous, and we're not going to put all of these grapes on the board. So what I like to do is I like to go and I like to pick off of the vine. Cut it right here. Cut it like so, and then I'm going to plate it right in here. But as I'm going to turn it this way that you guys can see. As you can see, there's little spaces in there. So what I like to do is I'll go in and then I'll pick off like a smaller cluster of grapes. And then I'll just wiggle it right in there. And like I said, there's a little space right there. So what I'll do is I'll pop that in, and then right over there, we'll plate that. If it doesn't stay, then that's okay. Grapes can be weird too sometimes. Perfect. So those are the grapes. I'm going to do the grapes on another part as well. I like to put not a lot of grapes. I like to put grapes in 2 separate places because the prosciutto and the grapes always go first. And I'm going to plate that. Let's see. We're going to put that right in here. And like I said, see how there's an open space right there? We're just going to take a grape off of the cluster and just put it like so, just like that. So I like to do 2 to 3 fruits on a plate. So this is the first fruit, and then we're going to go in with blackberries and blueberries. And I like to mix them together because they just look really, really beautiful together. And you'll see when we put them on the board. I like to put the blueberries near like the lighter cheeses. So like where the cheddar is right over here, that's where we're going to put some of the grapes. I'm sorry, some of the blueberries. So what I like to do is I like to take a few. It can be kind of hard sometimes. And I'm going to plate them right like so. A few more. And then I like to put the blackberry right on top. And play around with it. If you see a space, the trick is you really don't want to see spaces when you're doing the boards. Let's see. I'm going to add one more blueberry right here. So that's the trick. You don't want to have any spaces. So that's why you go in with the little accoutrements. That way you can hide the space as well as pair things that go well, really well with the cheeses. So that's it for the fruit. I'm going to go in with some crackers next. And crackers or bread, it's totally up to you guys. I like to use either flavored crackers or like a super hard cracker like this. This cracker is from Rustic Bakery. I really like these. They're super hard. They're super salty. They go really well with cheese, and especially when you're pairing it with the honey or a fig jam, just goes so well, and it just pairs really beautifully. So I just like to plate them, put a little bit like so right in there. And honestly, especially with a cheese plate like this, I'll put like a extra like plate of crackers on the side. I really like to put bread with olive oil. I love doing that. I'll put that on the side. That way people have a little bit more options of what they want to put on the board. So yeah, we'll put that like there. Another option for crackers is Trader Joe's sells these fig and olive crackers. They're beautiful. They pair fabulously with every board that I make, they go on. I love these. With this specific board, I wanted to keep the Rustic Bakery crackers, but these crackers are phenomenal. So next we're gonna go in with our nuts, and I have 3 different kinds for you. I love these candied pecans. These are incredible. They're extremely dangerous because they're so good and you don't want to stop eating them. So these go on every board no matter what, and they pair so beautifully with the brie and honey. If you put a cracker with the brie, honey, and a candy pecan, it is like the most insane pairing ever. So I love, love, love to put the candy pecans. Next we have Marcona almonds. Super salty, super smooth. They pair amazingly with any board. And then also we have a pistachio nut, which again goes beautifully with anything. So what I like to do is I definitely like a variety of nuts, but sometimes what I'll do is I'll put nuts in my bowl. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pistachios in the bowl, because sometimes people don't want nuts always on their board, but it looks really nice. So it's an easy pairing, an easy thing to fill up the bowl. You also can put olives in the bowl if you wanted to. If you are an olive person, olives can go in the bowl. You really can put anything you want in the bowl. But for this, I wanted to put the pistachios because, again, they go really well with a piece of cheddar, some honey, and the pistachio is a very, very, very beautiful combo as well. So with the pecans. I always place them next to the brie, like I said before, because they just go so beautifully. And what I like to do is I like to pair things that go well together right next to each other. That way it's, when you look at it, a board, I don't want it to be intimidating. I want people to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to put this with this, or this is near each other, I'm going to put that together, because people don't want to sit there and be like, what should I do? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just plate them right. And when you're making boards for a board for your guests, definitely allow about an hour to make a board, because especially with cutting the cheese and plating it and getting all your things ready, I definitely would say give yourself about an hour. Perfect. And like I said, things move, things get in the way, that's okay. And then we're going to put the Marcona almonds right on the side over here. And that's okay if they fall off. We're going to go in with some garnish in a little bit and some dried fruit. And that'll really make the board pop as well. And I'm also going to put the almonds right here. It's okay if you layer things on top of each other. That's my favorite part, is like going through a board and finding things like under each other, and you're like, oh wow. Put that there. Perfect. Next, I'm going to go in with some dried fruit. These are dried apricots. I really like these. Great pairing for all the different cheeses. So I'm just going to put that right on the side. Like I said, you kind of just want to fill in any spaces. Like I said, there's a little bit of space over here. I'm going to go in with garnish in a little bit. But another pairing I like to put is golden raisins or regular cranberries. These ones are from Trader Joe's, but they add nice color to the board, and they're a great pairing, especially with piece of manchego, and a golden raisin is phenomenal. I really, really like that pairing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that near the manchego because it's a good pairing. Right over there. Okay, and we're going to put a little bit right in here. Like I said, sometimes it's a little stubborn, but that's okay. Perfect. Okay, next is the fun part. It's one of my favorite parts. I go in with the garnish, and that really adds a lot of color back into the plate, and I feel like it just takes the board to the next level. Personally, I love to use sage and rosemary. Basil is really nice if you want to do more like an Italian themed board and you want like mozzarella or burrata. If you pair basil with that and plate it, it's absolutely, I love those combinations together. So for this, I'm going to take a few. As you I'm sure you guys have worked with rosemary before. Comes in little stalks just like this. What I like to do is I like to take the stalk off, and I will plate it in little areas just like that. And I'll break it off. That way you get a piece that's just like that. And I'll put it in places where I feel like it needs more color, a little bit more brightness. It also adds movement to the board, because you can place them kind of like one way going that way, going that way. And I like to leave a little bit of the stem, that way it's easier to kind of like stick into the board. There. And then next I'm going to go in with some sage. And it also too, when you're presenting the board, it just also gives off a really beautiful smell, especially with all of the cheeses and the herbs too. So with the sage, I'm going to go in right in here. And then mini pieces. See, it comes on little, just like that. I'm going to go in, and I'm going to actually mix the sage and the rosemary together. So also too, another add-on I like to do is dried figs. They're really nice. Fresh figs aren't in season anymore right now, so that's why I like to go in with a dried fig. And I'm gonna cut it in half. And this adds really nice color as well. Especially, like I said before, if you wanted to use a fig jam instead, you can put the figs next to the jam. That way it's kind of a good pairing. That way, see the fig with the fig jam, it looks really pretty next to each other. See, a little stubborn sometimes. Like that. Perfect. And I'm gonna cut one more. Just like so. I'm gonna put that right in there. Next, I'm actually gonna go on with another fruit because I feel like I definitely can add a little bit more color. Oranges are citrus. This is citrus season right now. You can go in with a blood orange. You can go in with a regular orange, a grapefruit. So I'm gonna actually go in with some orange because it's also a really good pairing, orange with cheddar. I'm a big fan of that. So what I'll do is I'm just gonna cut it just like so. And I do the same technique when I cut blood oranges as well. And I just cut it in half just like that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plate it right here, just like so. I'm just gonna put one on there. And then with the brie, I always like to plate something on top of the brie. So what I'll do is I'm gonna go in with 2 of the blueberries and just place them on top like that. And then I'm gonna take a piece of sage and put a little tail. And I'm gonna put one more piece. Just like so. That way it kind of looks like it's growing off of the, what's it called, the plate. So as you can see, I still have a little bit more spaces, so I'm gonna fill those in. I'm gonna go in with a little bit more nuts over here and a few more grapes over here. And then we are almost there. And then I'm gonna show you guys what to pair with what. So I'm gonna go in with actually the Marcona almonds. These are really good. I buy these in bulk, but I do know that Trader Joe's does sell them. And I'm sure your local like Italian market or has them. I actually have never really seen them at the grocery store. These blueberries are very stubborn over here. Okay. And then I'm gonna put, like I said, a few more grapes on that side. Does anyone have any questions or comments, or what kind of cheeses are you guys using? Are you following along?
Someone commented that Little in Oakdale has the Marcona almonds.
Oh yes, you know what? I'm dying to go there. I haven't been there.
And another question we had is, where do you get your boards and are they expensive?
This specific board was from Marshall's, and I think it was $7. Honestly, Marshall's is one of my favorite places to get boards like this. And also too, I should have went over that before. You don't necessarily need to use a board. I've seen people use a baking tray. Honestly, you can even use a kitchen plate. You really can use anything as long as it's a flat surface just like this, because everything really is getting covered. So you really don't have to go out and have to go spend money on a board, or if you wanted to, you can, but use a cutting board. Anything really with a flat surface is like the perfect option. I've made boards on paper plates before when my friends come over, but no one knows because everything's covered. So, but this specific board I got at Marshall's like about a year ago, and it's $7. Marshall's always has amazing boards. If you want something that's super inexpensive, 100% go there. I have a lot of boards. A lot of them are from Marshall's, and I don't think I've ever spent over $15 for a board. So definitely try that, or like I said, a kitchen plate, whatever you feel. Also Amazon too. Amazon has a lot of like combos of plates with the cheese knives, like a board with that comes with cheese knives that I think are like you can get for like $20, $25. But like I also too, cheese is expensive, so you already know that's going to cost you a good penny or a little bit pricier to buy cheese and meat and all the accoutrements. So if you want to just get a kitchen plate or a cheaper board, you totally can do that.
And do you put out a small knife or something to spread the honey or?
Yeah, yep. I'll usually put a honey stick or I'll use a spoon. Sometimes like when I was first making boards, I literally would just put a tablespoon out. Now I have like a little honey dripper. You can put out little knives. Whatever you have, really, like if you don't have anything at home that is for cutting and slicing cheese, you can always improvise. Like I said, you can use a spoon just like this for the honey. I always recommend definitely having like a few knives nearby because you're going to want to cut some of the cheeses. The only cheese that people would have to go in and cut on this specific board is the brie, especially when people start taking it. But that's why I like to cut all of the cheeses because of the fact that it's easier to grab and pick.
Thank you.
But so this is our finished board. This is honestly perfect. I don't want to. Honestly perfect for honestly, this can definitely feed 4 people, especially as a meal, as a appetizer before a meal. You can put if you're using a little bit of a bigger board, you could fill it with a little bit more prosciutto or a little bit more salami, however you guys feel. But me personally, my first pairing would be is, I said it before, the cracker with a piece of brie, honey, and a pecan is like amazing. I love cheddar with honey, even a grape as well in there. It's my favorite, and the Trader Joe's crackers are just phenomenal. These crackers are, it's like a good scooping cracker, if that makes sense. It's gonna hold all of the cheese and all of the meat when it's on there. But hope you guys enjoyed. Do you have any more questions?
It looks beautiful. Someone wants to know what jams do you recommend?
The universal I put on every single board that I make is fig jam. Every store has fig jam. That's my favorite. It's funny, when I was first making boards, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to put fig jam. It was very like unknown to me. And then once I put it on boards and once I paired it with cheeses, it's my favorite pairing. Another great jam is raspberry jam. I love raspberry jam, especially with brie or cheddar. Apricot jam is really good. I put that on my boards in the spring. You really can get very like creative with the jams. Also too, even pairings, like if you're doing, like I said before, a little bit of like an Italian board and you want to incorporate mozzarella, you can fill a plate, fill a cup just like this with pesto. I do that all the time, and pesto with a little piece of mozzarella with prosciutto is an amazing pairing. But I'm trying to think. I actually just picked up sour cherry jam, and that one is phenomenal. I've paired that with brie and I paired that with cheddar and Gruyere before. Gruyere is another favorite cheese of mine, and it's a really perfect pairing. That's really what I want for everybody to take away from this, is how to pair things. So that's why I'm kind of going over what to pair with what, if that makes sense. But yeah.
Is there anything that you've used that's been an epic fail?
Let's see. I'm trying to think. There has been, yeah, cheese-wise, a lot of people don't like blue cheese. I personally love blue cheese, and good pairing with blue cheese is honey. Anything sweet or a piece of dried fruit is really good with blue cheese. And I haven't sold blue cheese like on the boards. I'll always ask people because it's a very like unknown cheese. But I made a board for my family a while ago, and I put a whole bunch of like the stinkier cheeses on them, and they were like, absolutely not. So that's one of the fails, is picking the right cheeses. And that's why I feel like the more, not, I don't want to say basic cheeses, but like a brie, a cheddar, a manchego, a Gruyere. I even have this honey goat cheese is phenomenal. If you like goat cheese, I'm a big fan. This is from Trader Joe's. Big fan of honey goat cheese. I love honey goat cheese. Gouda is also an amazing cheese to put on a board that's universal. Aged Gouda, which is different than regular Gouda. It's harder. This is actually aged Gouda right here. Have it. it's in the wrapping still, but it's harder and it has like crystals in it. So when you're chewing into it, it's super salty, but also super creamy at the same time. That's a very good cheese. But yeah, those are the main cheeses is the goat cheese, aged Gouda, and then these three cheeses is usually what I'll put on all of the boards. And when you're even in like the markets and stuff looking for cheeses, you can always get that like weird cheese and try it out and see how people like it. I personally like all the weird cheeses, but sometimes people don't. So you have to kind of know your audience, if that makes sense.
And where do you usually buy your cheeses from?
When I'm making boards for like at home for me, I'll go to Trader Joe's. I live in Wantagh, so North Shore Farms is right over here. Or I'll go to the cheese market for my boards. When I sell everything, I buy in bulk from all different distributors and wholesalers. But when I'm making boards for friends and family, I'll go to Trader Joe's. Honestly, their cheeses are very inexpensive. I think that this goat milk cheese was I think like $3.99. The honey goat milk, and it's I know it's expensive to make a board when people are coming over, so I recommend going to a Trader Joe's. I've never been to Aldi, but I've heard amazing things from friends that make boards. They like to shop at Aldi. I haven't been there. I need to get over there, but that's another place. But Trader Joe's and North Shore Farms are the two places I go to get my cheeses.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions from the audience? How much, in general, does one of these boards, cost to make?
This board costs to make probably about let's see, probably about like I want to say $50 to $70. I'm gonna say honestly, I'm gonna say like 65 was definitely like the price range for this board, and that's the right price range for about like 2 to 4 people.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, I buy a lot of things in bulk, but when I'm shopping for friends and family when they're coming over, that's usually like the price range that I'll stick in with, especially 3 cheeses, 2 meats, and then all the nuts are expensive. So if you want to even cut down on the nuts and, like I said, put olives in the bowl, you can do that, or even put a fig jam in the bowl. You can play around and really customize it. There's no wrong way to make a charcuterie board. It's just about how you plate it and how you pair it.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Let's see, last call. Now, at the end of the night, if there's any like leftover, do you usually save it
Yeah,
or?
yeah. I actually, my friend's bachelorette party was about 2 months ago, and I made a huge, huge, huge board, and we actually ate that throughout the entire weekend. So what I recommend is, say if you're eating it and you're all hanging out with your friends, and you're like, you know what, we're full on this, maybe tomorrow or maybe later we'll snack on it. Take a cling wrap and put it over the whole entire board and keep it in the fridge, and it will be fine. Definitely no more than like 1.5, 2 days. I wouldn't eat it. But I've done it before and it was fine. As long as the entire board is covered, you'll be good to go. And I recommend taking one crackers if you're gonna put it in the refrigerator, because the crackers get a little soggy. Other than that, the cheeses and the meats and the nuts, they stay fine.
Okay. And what other crackers do you recommend?
I love, honestly, like I know, like even just I put breadsticks on the boards a lot. Any type of cracker, really. I mean, these crackers the flavor is rosemary and olive oil, but you can go to the store and any type of the regular what are they called? I used to use them. Oh, the Cars crackers. Those are great for pairing. They come in like a package and you can get flavors. You can get like I know they have cracked pepper, sesame, the original crackers. So something a very basic cracker. Even I know rice crackers. I don't know the specific brand, but rice crackers are really salty, so they pair really well with saltier cheeses and sweeter cheeses. So I do like those options as well.
And when you use olive oil and bread, do you season the oil?
What I'll do is I'll just throw the olive oil on and I'll do salt, pepper, and a little bit of like oregano when I'm doing bread on the side.
Okay. And do you put out toothpicks or small, forks?
Sometimes I will. Sometimes I'll put out the little. It's kind of like a toothpick, the little like miniature like hors d'oeuvre forks. You could do that. Like I said, a little spoon. I'll just kind of put them around and put plates all around. That way people can kind of grab and go. So yeah, a toothpick definitely works as well.
And can you put on sweets like a dessert
Oh yeah,
fork?
absolutely. I'll incorporate chocolate. I'm a big chocolate person. Sometimes I'll put chocolate. I'll put like hunks of chocolate on the board. You can get like a big like brick of chocolate and like cut it up into like mini chunks. Sprinkle that on the board. You absolutely can do this. You can even put cookies if you want. I've put little muffins on boards before. If you want to do something like a little breakfast situation, you can do like you can put muffins with like a creamier brie cheese, and that's a really nice pairing. But you can definitely, like I said, you can put anything you want on a board. And the only reason why it's called a charcuterie board is charcuterie means meat in French. So that's why I always say cheese and charcuterie, because it is a cheese and charcuterie board.
Great. And you said earlier, what is it, 2 ounces of cheese per person?
2 ounces of meat per person, and then 1 to 2 ounces of cheese per person, depending on the crowd that you're feeding. If you know that you guys are hungry, you guys are gonna be eating all night, definitely put a little bit more on. But the average is 2 ounces of meat per person and 1 to 2 ounces of cheese per person.
Okay. Thank
Yep.
you. Any other questions for the Charcuterie Queen?
Mhm.
No, I don't think so. I want to thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. The board looks beautiful.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy that you asked me to do this. I'm very grateful, and I'm so happy that hopefully everyone takes away something from this. And if you guys make anything, definitely tag me. That way I can see. It's like my favorite thing when people just like sit, make a charcuterie board, pour a glass of wine. It's like the best thing ever.
Awesome.
Mm.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank
everybody. Up, some last question. What wine do you suggest to pair?
Oh, with this board, it's when I give my boards to customers, I actually do a wine pairing card. So this particular board, I would definitely put a Chardonnay or a Merlot. You can always put a champagne with a board, but Merlot pairs really well with the cheddar and the Manchego, and especially the Brie. And then if you're more of a white wine person, Chardonnay, absolutely. It's light. This board is pretty light on the lighter side of like flavors and whatnot. So I definitely would pair Chardonnay or either Merlot.
Okay. And do you have a physical store?
No, I do everything out of a kitchen. Like I rent a commercial kitchen space.
Okay. And are you on Facebook where people can tag you?
Yep, I'm on Facebook and Instagram at the period dot charcuterie. I'm sorry, at the period charcuterie dot queen.
Okay. Great.
Thank you
Okay. Well,
so
I don't know
much.
about you, but I'm hungry.
I know no one's home right now, so I get to eat all this by myself.
Great. Thank you again so much. It was a lot of
Thank
fun.
you. Had fun tonight.
Thank you. And we'll put this video up on our library's YouTube channel and within a couple of days.
Thank you so much again. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thanks, you too.
Bye bye.
Bye.